Hello, dear perceptive souls. This is Bevin Niemann, co-founder of the 1 Million Empaths community. And if you're like me, you have been following the United States election cycle. And it's been very dense, very difficult energy. And of course, we just heard the news this morning that the announcement was made that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been elected to President and Vice President of the United States. And when that happened, I realized how much tension, anxiety, fear I'd been holding in my body, in my heart, in my mind for the whole election cycle for months, but even particularly this last week. And I'm sure that was true for you as well. I'm not assuming that everybody that listens to this is going to have voted for Biden and Harris. I just want to provide a perspective about what's happening in our world right now. We clearly saw two different types of leadership, two different intentions, two different energies. One which was all about power and control, all about manipulation. And for someone like me who has intersected with multiple people in my life that were further on the narcissistic scale, I could recognize all of those traits, all of those characteristics coming forward, the gaslighting, the manipulation. And I was engaging on a Facebook dialogue with a group of people that I know who actually supported the other side, who supported Trump. And they asked me, Bevin, what is the reason that you decided to vote for Biden? And I said, I'll tell you, as long as this isn't going to devolve into a nasty argument. And I said, this is the reason. I've intersected with narcissism. I know the devastating effects of this. And not only on an individual level, but on a collective level. And then for someone to have so much power as the president of the United States does. And in Biden and Harris, I saw a desire, maybe not perfectly, but a desire to have empathy, compassion, to bring back the humanity and leadership, to care about diversity on our planet. And I had no choice other than to step forward. I'm an introvert. I would rather be a hermit out in the woods, probably like many of you. And I stepped forward in this election cycle, and I made my voice heard on social media and in my email letters, and I got on and did videos about this election, and I pushed myself, really to that edge of beyond of my comfort zone. And yet, no matter how much and how tiring that was for me, the reason I did it is because there's so many people in our world who don't even have this voice, who don't even have this platform, who don't even have these opportunities that are afforded to me. And so I continue to fight. But what I do want to say, and I want to echo something that one of my highly sensitive colleagues put out there, which is that we need to celebrate when we get these small wins. And it was a narrow margin. It was a very narrow margin, which tells us we still have a lot of work to do. But we can get into this place as light workers and empaths and mystics and spiritual seekers and say, okay, but it wasn't good enough. We didn't get far enough. We're not completely there for this vision we have. We're all of humankind, our entire planet. Everyone is equally represented. Everyone is cared for. We're living in concert and in cycles of nature and, honoring the home that we live in and honoring each other. We're not there yet. No, we're not there yet. But we're moving in that direction, and every step must be celebrated. And I know the biggest divide I noticed was in our spiritual communities. You probably saw this as well. There were different people within the spiritual realm, within the metaphysical study, within quantum study, all of those groups that you're probably involved in and tap into had differing opinions about what this all means. What does it mean on a larger spiritual level? Is this a battle between good and evil? Are there cabals? Are there Illuminati? Are there all these things? Is there QAnon? And what is that? And there's all of this discussion and all this passionate discussion going on inside of our spiritual communities. And the only thing I can say about it is this, is that if you resonate as a light worker, You came here to spread light. That's the bottom line, right? It's the bottom line. So when you go out there on social media, when you engage in these conversations, when you're in a local community, when you're on a Zoom call, and you think, maybe I should say something snarky, maybe I should put that person down, maybe I should, get the zinger in because I can. And believe me, I have engaged in all of that. I've engaged in all of that. But we came here to hold the frequency of light and unity. That's our purpose. That's why we came to this planet at this time. And damn, it is a hard-ass job to do it right now. It's draining. We have to do an exponential amount of self-care. I don't know about you, but this last week for me has been nothing but drumming, putting my feet into the earth, taking hot baths, walking in the forest, doing tarot readings, I'm pulling out every arsenal, every tool in my arsenal as I can to actually make sure that I'm okay. And you need to do the same. Sometimes we need to disconnect from the work. But we came here to hold light. And for me, the reason I voted as I did, and the reason I'll continue to vote as I did and continue to be active, is because I believe that love is the unifying energy of the universe. And I have to continuously learn how to role model that, even with those I don't agree with. And I know this sounds wrong and it sounds harsh and it sounds difficult. And, it doesn't mean I'm not going to say, no, this is wrong behavior, because I'm absolutely going to set those boundaries. But when those people that I was communicating with on social media, when they asked me, why did I vote for this person? And I told them, they got angry. They felt attacked personally. Even though I wasn't talking about them, I was talking about a candidate. And I need to realize that they have fear, and that a lot of our human behavior is motivated by our fears of not having enough, by our fears of survival, by our fears of not belonging, by our fears of having, life move along and change and progress happening. And we're moving into a new threshold. We're leaving behind this old Piscean era, the polarity, the black and white thinking, the, men versus women, the black versus white, the haves versus the have-nots. We're leaving that behind, and we're entering into the Aquarian age. And stepping over that threshold is very uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for those of us who are ready for that, who are desiring that, because we don't know how to do it. We're learning. We're building the airplane as we fly it, so to speak. And a part of that for me, and the commitment I'm making, the reason I got on, and the reason I wanted to talk to you and just inspire you to think about this, go into meditation and just sit with this a little bit, is how am I spreading light? And sometimes spreading light means that you say, I agree to disagree, or I honor your perspective, but that's not how I feel. Sometimes for you, it's going to mean that you're going to need to disengage. And sometimes it's going to mean that we're going to need to stand up and say no more. It just depends in each circumstance. I wish I just had this perfect answer. But what I do know for me is that it means that I'll no longer make personal attacks on others, even if they don't believe the same way. Whether that's in our spiritual communities and people are talking about conspiracy theories, calling people stupid or ignorant, or, you're just a sheep, or no more of that. We can't do any more of that. We have to rise to a higher level of conscious action on this planet. And every single one of us who makes this kind of commitment ripples out. You saw what happened. There were so many people who worked so hard, who spread their voice and inspired and talked about what was important to them, and also set a boundary about what wasn't acceptable in our world. And you saw what happened. This is possible. This is our first step. It's momentum. And I understand there may be people watching this who come from all different countries. So you're probably likely mirroring many of these same things. I know in Poland, women are, actively fighting for their rights right now. I know in India, there are many, many groups who are fighting for their rights, ethnic groups. I know that this is happening across the globe. So this is not just about the United States. It's about our human species. It's about our evolution. And it's time for us to evolve, and that evolutionary process would love to make it smooth and easy and flowing. And, this is what we want in the spiritual community, right? We just want flow. But it's not. It's messy and it's ugly and it's scary and it's beautiful all at the same time. I just want you to know that I love you, my friends. I feel all of your bright points of light. Working on this in whatever way you're doing that, in your family system, as a volunteer, in your local communities, in your workplace, out on social media, wherever you decide to spread your voice and spread your message of light. I thank you. It helps me to know, as I sit in my apartment and I make these videos and I do this work, that I'm not alone and you're not either. And today we get to celebrate because empathy, love, kindness, inclusion, diversity, the rise of the divine feminine, the rise of the sensitive divine masculine actually won today. We actually won today. I thank you so much for being here and being present. And I'll talk with you soon. Namaste.